am all ranged atomic. Bro! It was so good. It was so good. Like, you're not gonna tell me, man. This episode of Eminence in the Shadow wasn't good. Like, say it with me. Say it with me. Eminence in Shadow is peak. It is peak. And bro, what an episode. What a freaking episode. Just straight up fire. Absolute fire. Like, yo, the voice actor of Sid really goes all in. Like, his VA loves to just say the full-on English word, and the way it sounds like ASMR. Like, if you have the privilege of putting on a headset, like headphones, and just listening to this episode, I really recommend you to listen to that moment, because holy crap, it's like some ASMR stuff. It is just so good. The VA really goes all in for that line. It's so nice to see just that epic moment once again, just him saying like atomic after what we saw, and I think the last time we saw it was like episode 6 or 7. So it's nice to hear it once again, because holy crap, what a scene, what an episode. So, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Eminence in the Shadow. So, it's been a few weeks since I talked about Eminence in the Shadow, and I felt like today is a better day than ever to talk about the latest episode, because obviously this episode concludes a massive arc. For instance, like, you know, setting up with the sanctuary, etc. It was a pretty important arc. We got a lot of lore drop, a lot of info. It was a legitimately insane episode for Eminence in the Shadow, and I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the lore, I want to talk about the characters, I want to talk about the camera angles, etc. And so let's talk about the camera angles first, because I think that the camera angles, I'm briefly going to show, well, I'm going to have to censor that one, because obviously YouTube won't like it, but basically the camera angles of the show. Bro, what? Like, all I want to say is, I don't know what the animators are on, but seriously, they are thirsty. Like, straight thirst. There is unlimited thirst from the animators when it comes to Eminence in the Shadow. Like, it is absolutely insane. And I've talked about this in the past. Like, I've legit talked about, like, some elements of this with previous episode reviews, but it really does need to be said. Like, let's talk about episode, like, 13 last week. Delta. Like, okay. Anyone that saw last week's episode. Oh my goodness, that Delta scene where she just, like, rocking the six-pack and everything. It's just like, yes. And then the whole, like, the slime fake pads falling out, hitting the ground. And then, like, saying, oh, you didn't see anything, must have been the wind. Just everything about the last episode with some of the camera angle shots, I was just like, what is going on here? And this episode does the exact same thing. Like, there's a brief moment as well where it's like, wait, did I just see that with, like, the hero? And, like, I had to slow down the episode to look at just the camera angle shots of this series. There is some unlimited thirst with the animators. It's funny. It's legitimately funny. Like, it is very funny. I don't know what to say, because it just, like, yeah. Anyways, let's talk about the lore, okay? Let's talk about the world building we got with, you know, this episode and last episode, etc. So, basically, Sid here, he does an absolute Giga Chad moment. Like, holy crap. So, he got stabbed right in, like, the stomach. And after he gets stabbed, he grabs the hero, turns her around, and bites the neck of her and drops her. And I'm just like, yo, what? Like, yo, what the hell? The man pulled some absolute savagery that was just insane to look at. Like, when you see the entire sequence, it's just like, wow, did that really just happen? And it's just like, yes, he deals with a bunch of them after that, a bunch of clones, as you can see when they pop up, but the fact that he dealt with one of them without using magic, just sheer brutality, I was just like, this is some Mortal Kombat type stuff. Like, holy crap, that man is an absolute animal to do something like that. I would be in a state of shock as well if I had to bear witness to something like that. It's not normal to see, like, someone just walking with a hole in their gut after doing something like that. And, you know, I want to talk about that, actually. Kind of, you know, what Sid says about himself when he's talking about his wound here. He talks about how the human body, as long as that the vitals are a-okay and the arteries, the human body's fine. And he's not completely wrong and not completely right. And I think this is a very big element that I want to talk about. It definitely garnered a lot of my attention while I was watching this episode, and I feel like it is worthy of discussing. Sid is obviously not right in the head. I think we all already knew that at this point in time with the story of Eminence in the Shadow. But this especially, with this moment with Sid, really just goes to show how far his insanity is, but also how he knows enough about how the human body works that he'll be able to last long enough to get proper treatment if he gets done quickly. And so, let's explain. The human body is a very interesting system. A very interesting system. And I'm not going to say I'm a doctor and I have all the information, etc. I'm not saying that. The human body can survive with a lot of punishment before it collapses. It's surprising how long it could just keep itself up with a lot of injury. And Sid basically pointed this out, saying, like, he was very injured, but no major artery was hurt, so the only thing he really has to worry about is potentially just bleeding out. And that's it. Like, eventually bleeding out, which would take probably a while. So the point is that as long as if he gets medical treatment in like an hour or two, he'd probably be fine. And it's insane that he's willing to put up with the pain like that while fighting and not caring about himself. He is legitimately a scary character. Like, this entire episode really showcases Sid as an absolute demon. Like, he is a literal demon in a sense, the way he fights. It's scary. It's actually scary. Now, one thing, speaking of demons, I think is very important that needs to be talked about is the scene where Sid actually kind of like, he talks to the girl, the witch, that disappears in the forest. And I think it's a very important scene, basically, kind of showcasing that we found out the twist, that she was the Demon King, or the Demon Ruler, the Demon God, whatever name you want to throw on her. And I think that the scene is a very powerful scene, like the way she disappears, etc., leaves Sid with a promise. It's important because it makes us see the Demon King in a very different light, or Demon Queen, I guess, in this case, in a very different light within this story. Because we all assume, I myself included, assume that the Demon King / Queen now would be the big bad, the final entity, so to speak. Diablos would be the final fight. But when you see this exchange in this episode and what happened in the last episode, it all but implies that the Demon King / Queen has been a victim all along as well. And not someone that's been treated right, someone that's been really heavily done wrong throughout her entire life. Just looking at the childhood, etc. So when you really think about this situation, it makes you wonder now what's going to happen, like when Alpha finds out about Sid's exchange with this witch here and finds out more about her. What's Alpha gonna do? Because obviously the whole point of Shadow Garden is to kind of get rid of the cult of Diablos and Diablos herself. And now knowing the truth about Diablos, it makes you wonder, like, what are they going to do about this? Are they still going to want to get rid of her? Or are they going to see, like, she's a victim in all of this as well? And the question is, if she is, like, who's really behind all this? Yeah, we know the cult of Diablos is the big baddie, but, like, there has to be something else really going on, just judging by the circumstances of Diablos within this episode and this whole exchange we had with Sid. It brings a lot into question, and I'm going to need some time to really just sit and think on that, but it's a really good episode to really kind of mix up and give a lot of twists that I honestly just did not see coming. Like, I saw it coming that it was Diablos, like she was Diablos. I saw that one coming. I just did not see it coming that, there obviously was, like, no lies there. She did have a bad childhood. And I think what really iterates just how she's not lying is that there's a brief little moment in this episode where, Sid is, standing up to this guy, and, before, like, he decides to continue to fight, etc., you have this little plea deal go on. Like, the witch, or Diablos, is trying to make a plea deal for Sid to keep him alive, and it just shows how fearful she is of, like, these heroes that are duplicates. And I think that says a lot about the mentality of this individual, that the Demon King themselves, or Demon Queen, is fearful of this hero. And yeah, Demon Queen or King is supposed to be fearful of the main hero, but the fact there was just so much fear there, and, like, no level of arrogance that you would normally radiate from an entity like that, showcases the fact that something else is going on here sinister that we're unaware of completely. So I like the twists and turns that this episode provided us. I think it's an excellent well done episode, honestly, to make you wonder what's going to happen in the future of the story. Now, I want to talk about a few other things. We have a brief little moment, basically, where we get to see, like, a bunch of our characters setting up and planning stuff, or buying houses and all of that, buying territories, and it's obviously showing that Shadow Garden is expanding into new territory, trying to buy up more land, trying to spread out their influence to a higher degree in different kingdoms. It shows that they're ever expanding and getting a lot stronger, so embedded within society that there's going to just be no way to really get rid of them eventually. And they're going to be, once again, more stronger than the Cult of Diablos. Now, another interesting thing we learned with the lore recently is that apparently the 12 rounds or whatever, like the Knights of the Round Table or whatever, they are all a part of the Cult of Diablos. They've been taking these pills or whatever that allows them to have immortality, and I think that's extremely interesting, knowing that literally the main head honcho Knights are the actual main big baddies, and it explains a lot with what's already been presented and set up in the previous episodes, but it also makes you wonder about the rulers as well. It kind of implies that all the rulers of all these kingdoms are in on it, and evil to some degree, so we'll see where that one's gonna go. I am legit curious where the story will take us there. But yeah, overall, this episode of Eminence in the Shadow is great. It is a legitimate great episode. I love it from start to finish. It is fantastic. I mean, to the ASMR, I Am Atomic, basically, to the lore building, to the camera angles, it's good. It's got everything for everyone that someone wants to watch an anime. So yeah, excellent. Absolutely excellent episode of Eminence in the Shadow. I guess I will leave it at that for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please leave me a like. It does help me out a lot. And be safe, stay healthy, everybody. Chibi out.